Good morning. I want to talk a little bit about neuroplasticity. Many years ago, we grew up with the idea that the brain was plastic and that the number of brain cells that we had when we were born was all, and it was a gradual slippery slope downward. And after that, there was an increasing decline in our brain. And what has developed in the last recent years is a very different understanding of the brain function and the level of resiliency and plasticity in the brain. So the brain has the capacity to change and to renew and rewire itself. And part of what happens is that the pathways of thought create neurosynapses, which then make those same thoughts more readily available. So, for example, if we get agitated or anxious a lot, it makes it a whole lot easier to get agitated and anxious again. If we get angry a lot, then the more we focus on thoughts of anger, the more it makes it possible to get angry again. So, one of the pathways or the understandings of neuroplasticity is that how we focus our attention is going to determine the readily available pathways that are open to us in the next moment of choice. And so neuroplasticity really shows us that if we have deeply ingrained habits, or if our brain has gotten stuck into a stress response, or if we've had a concussion or a stroke and there's different kinds of impairment, we have the capacity to shift our focus of attention and open up these new pathways that make it possible for new experiences and new behaviors and new patterns of thought. And so the original model that I grew up with, which was that the brain was plastic and the number of brain cells that we have is all that we've got, is a very, very different understanding than our contemporary way of looking at things, that we have choice and how we focus our attention determines our experience, and the way that we relate to our experience has a huge impact on how our reality, on what we are experiencing and our feelings about it. So this is all to say that our brain has tremendous resource and resiliency and capacity to shift from habits which are not so helpful to habits that are much more helpful, and then to be able to use those helpful habits for being able to experience much greater senses of joy and ease and well-being, which is what we all want. We want to experience happiness. So neuroplasticity is understanding the mechanisms of brain function and how we can focus our attention in ways that optimize our ability to have joy and happiness and ease. And what I'm going to talk about next is how this dovetails with some of the core Buddhist teachings and why these two are very complementary for each other.